Today I'm reading you chapter 2 of the book Within, my first book, and it's called The Final Fight with My Father at age 14. This is the year 1984. I will read it to you. I was a sad child and adolescent. I recall often not wanting to catch sight of myself in the mirror and the pain of looking at photo albums of my childhood. I saw a sad child, a sad face, a sad inner self. In my adolescent years, I destroyed most of my childhood photos. Why was there so much sadness in my early years? One of the reasons was my father. He was violent and physically abusive towards my younger brother and me. At least once a week, he would hit us hard with a wire cord, a wooden stick, or a leather belt. Our young, tender bodies were constantly covered in bruises. There were so many painful days, crying and pleading for him to stop. It was torture to my heightened sensitivity as a kid. My whole body was paralyzed and I shivered in fear. Many years later, when I started to heal these traumatic imprints in my body and psyche, I asked my father, "Why did you hit us? Was it really necessary? And what was the reason for it?" My father recounted his own childhood, and I discovered that he also received the same violent treatment from his own father. My father's philosophy was that children needed to be hit to show them obedience and discipline, and to forge them into worthwhile members of society. For him, it was a natural way to educate us and fulfill his duty as a father. I remember so many days spent crying and hiding in a little cave. I built myself out of empty cardboard boxes in our warehouse next to the house. I prayed for help so many times. Praying was simply a natural mechanism for me when I felt desperate. I didn't even know who I was praying to, but somehow I felt it to be to a higher force. I was filled with suicidal thoughts during these painful days, and thought about throwing myself in front of a train, jumping off a high building, or stabbing myself with a large kitchen knife. In these vulnerable moments of despair, crying and trembling in fear in a corner of the warehouse, I experienced an inner voice coming forward from deep within. "Don't kill yourself. Don't do it." This inner and mysterious voice was profound. I didn't know where it came from, but it was deeply heartfelt, and it told me, "You will find happiness and joy later in your life." This inner voice was my savior in those tragic moments. It was soothing, it was caring, it gave me hope. The last fight with my father was intense. I finally stood up to him. I fought back. I felt stronger, being now already 14 years old. This time I was raging. I screamed at him, charging forward and pushing him to the ground, and then I ran away to hide. He was surprised at this new reaction. I knew he would soon be coming after me to continue the fight and exert his authority over me. So that day I fled from home, riding my bicycle to my friend Tom's house, who lived 4 kilometers from a house in another small village. From that day onwards, it was clear to me I had enough. I would fight to escape living in that kind of environment ever again, and felt determined to live in a family home where I was safe. It seemed a sensible step for self-preservation to move out of a home and find another family where I didn't have to live in fear and terror. Tom's mother allowed me to stay the night, but she spoke to my mother the next day, and I had to bow to authority and return home to face my father. That was the final physical fight with him. The combination of standing up to him, perhaps the help of my friend's mother speaking to my mother, and the fact that I later fled to Munich to work as an apprentice in a pastry shop, meant I managed to escape further persecution. Back then, I had no idea how these painful experiences with my father would create traumatic imprints in my psyche and body, affecting my health later in life and leaving me vulnerable to all kinds of addiction, even the danger of getting lost forever. The author Gabor Mate, in his book The Myth of Normal, Trauma, Illness and Healing in a Toxic Culture, says, and as we will witness, trauma is an antecedent and a contributor to illness and addiction of all kinds throughout the lifespan. We continue with chapter 3 in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it and it touched a deep part of you.